Welcome everyone here on work session today, July the 8th, 6 p.m. And at first, thank you all of you in the chamber. Thank you, City Council. Thank you, all the staff being here conduct business. Beginning of this work session, I will open for visitor and citizen forum. By the way, we have two people, but only let's see now, Bob Woods is not here. So the next person will be Mr. Bob Watkins. Would you please come up here, sir?
First, Bob Watkins, you've already told him who I was, didn't you? First, I'm still concerned that we're discussing the visitors and citizens on the front instead of the back like it was for 40 or 50 years. A couple of times already things have come up that I had some kind of interest in, but I didn't know I was interested in it because this was first. So I wish you'd look at that a little more carefully, because that was something Averitt did, and I don't think we voted on it or anything. And I may be the only one in the world, but there's people that can't get here in time, can't get here for the work session, so they're not getting to talk. For future reference, I've kind of talked to some people about House Bill 2439. It has to do with Governor Abbott signed something saying that it's a little more difficult for cities to tell other people what they can build their buildings out of. And I think I don't know whether it's iffy or not, but it's something we need to know about. I'm kind of interested in it as a zoning board of adjustment and hearings board person. And then there's agenda item number 9, being it's not a public hearing. I'm supposed to speak on it now, right? Instead of waiting, because I might not get to talk about it. Well, see, there's yet another example. I may ask a bunch of questions that you're going to answer after a while, so I don't know. Agenda number 9. For the boards and commissions, background checks, which I think is fine. I don't care. Term limits. I'm going to discuss that a little. Dress code. I started out thinking that they were talking to me, but then it turns out that they're saying that if board and committee members that are not on television or don't have to wear collars. I assume that because that's what it says. One of the things that concerns me is the term limits, and I'm first, are we talking? In other words, starting as soon as this gets signed and passed, are we talking about 10 years? The possibility of 10 years from then, which at 92, I'm probably not going to care. But are you talking about previous? If somebody's already been on the board for 10 years, will they not be reappointed? You understand what I'm saying? So that wasn't plain in the ordinance whether the term limits were going to start now or later on. Also, they didn't say whether it's like term limits for the council. If you could be on X amount of years and get off for a year and get back on, it made it sound like if you was ever on for 10 years, because I was on for 20, I've got a little problem already. But that wasn't set out either, whether the term limits would allow you to be off for a year and get back on or get on a different board or whatever. And lastly, pertaining to the same thing, I don't know who's going to tell the people on the fire services board and the library board, the beautification board and the park board, that they can't be, that all of a sudden we don't want them anymore. People have spent an awful lot of their life volunteering. Councilmember Thompson was on the Fire Services Board for a while. I was on the Zoning Board of Adjustment pretty well for 20 years. I think that being as how at every election, the new council person or if a person gets reelected, they get to choose. I think giving term limits to some of these people that have served for so long, it just doesn't. I don't know who's gonna go tell them, well, we don't need you anymore. I think that's it for the present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins. And this item we discussed on regular agenda on item number 9, and you will hear more about this one. By the way, anyone else in the audience would like to go up here, speak up, a problem or something like that? I haven't seen none, so we close the public forum at the 6:07. Okay, the next one we'll discuss the 2019 Safe Routes to School. Mr. Fisher, will you please come in here, sir? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, we're here to discuss the potential application for the Safe Routes to School. Just to kind of give the folks a background on this funding program, it did originate in Texas as a state funding infrastructure program, but as it currently stands now, it's established in 2005 as a federally funded program under the Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act. That sounds like the federal government. The purpose of this Safe Routes to School funding is to encourage children to walk and bike to school and make it walking, biking to school safer and more appealing as a transportation alternative at an early age. It's also to facilitate planning and development and implementation of projects and activities to improve safety and reduce the motorized traffic in and around the schools. The eligible project locations is within a 2-mile radius of public, private, and charter schools. All population areas are eligible. This is a TxDOT managed project. We have $8.7 million that's going to be funding all the local projects. And the important thing on this one is the local match. Typically, these are 80-20. The city put up the 20, and we have to. There's an 80% match. This is a 0% local match requirement, which is great for the city. I wouldn't use the word free money, but as Greg knows, it's not really free money, but with all the work that's involved. But there's no city match on this, so that's real important. And the eligible activities is the design, the construction, and also TxDOT's admin fee, which is 15% of the total project. So all of those are the reimbursables for this project. And to give you a little background on the application process, they've simplified it now to where it's basically a computer Excel-based application format, and they have several, 3 or 4 pages of questions addressing the evaluation criteria. We'll have to include typical sections for the sidewalks, project maps, layouts, detailed construction budgets, and demonstration of project readiness, and that's whether we need easements or right-of-way and that sort of thing. But the 2 projects that I'll go over here in a few minutes, we should not need any easements or right-of-way. So as far as being readiness, those will be ready. We also have to do, depending on how the presentation goes, I'll be presenting a resolution back to council for local support and commitment to implement the project potentially at the next council meeting, because we have a fairly short deadline on this application process. And as seen there, the application deadline is the 15th of August. And the evaluation process, once it's submitted, they have a fairly complicated scoring criteria. TxDOT district staff and the division will evaluate each project for feasibility and constructability. That'll be done in the fall of 2019, and they said December of 2019 is when they'll give the list of projects out that they're going to be funding through this to this process. And the two applications we're looking at, what we did, the staff looked at several locations throughout the city, and we went and drove several of the projects, and some of them were difficult due to terrain and other trees in the way, right-of-way issues, and that sort of thing. So we're submitting 2 projects to the state for recommendation. We could have done 1 project, which would have been a total of $1 million, but that's giving the $8.7 million in funding. I broke it up to 2 projects. Would be nice to get both, but at least potentially we can get 1. And so the first project is the sidewalks are on Stanley Keller Road, and it serves the main school will be the W.T. Francisco Elementary School. It's approximately 4,950 linear feet of sidewalk. It'll be 5 foot wide and 4-inch thick concrete sidewalk, and it'll start on Stanley Keller Road, starting at the intersection of. I'm going to flip down to the next slide. There's a map there. It'll start at the intersection of Jerry Lane on the southwest part of the project, proceed north and ending at the intersection of Field Street and Stanley Keller. There on the right there. And that's just a little less than a mile of sidewalks. We have several driveways that we're going to have to replace just because of ADA. I don't know of any trees right now, but we'll have to deal with the mailboxes, which we always do. We'll also have the handicap ramps to install there. So, and the estimated cost of this first project is $600,000, and that includes the engineering. The second project we're looking at is on Estes Park Road. It serves John D. Spicer Elementary School, and it's a similar project, 5 foot wide concrete sidewalk, 3,600 linear feet in length. And I'm going to flip on to the map here. It'll start. We're going to put sidewalks on this project on both the north and south side of the roadway. The terrain is pretty easy to do that. There's not going to be a lot of grading involved for that, and the project will start at the intersection of Keating Road and Estes Park. It'll proceed east and ending at the intersection of Cripple Creek Road and Estes Park on the right there. And there's a sidewalk network to the right there that we'll be butting up against, which goes east and then back north. So this is a nice piece of sidewalk on both sides of the road for the kids to be able to bike and walk to school. I've done several of these projects. I know Greg has also done these. So staff's very familiar with the paperwork that's involved once you start the construction. I think this is my 4th and probably Greg's 3rd or 4th also. So we're very aware of the work involved in these projects. That's basically it for me. I just wanted to kind of inform the council. Yes, sir.
I have a question for you. The 7.8, that's federal rent, right? Correctly?
Yes, sir.
And just for Haltom City or for Tarrant County or what?
That's the 7.8 is the local. It's the Metroplex.
Metroplex.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
And how much Haltom City allowed to have them?
We don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah,
you have to put application. If they approve, then they get the money for you, right?
Yeah, we don't have any federal. We don't have any participation in the project. So we don't have to give. There's no there's no money we have to give the state for this project. There's zero contribution on our part. And all the projects that are submitted from all the cities around the area.
I mean, the school like BISD have to submit directly to federal, right?
If they wanted to do a Safe Routes to School project, they would have to go through the same process. So, yeah, and some school districts will do theirs. I mean, it's late in the game now for the school district, but some school districts do the Safe Routes to School projects. Typically, the cities that I'm aware of usually do those. I know Fort Worth they have several $1 million every time they have an application process.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Wee, Councilor Wee.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Keith, thank you
Yes.
for this. I've
Yes.
walked both of these, actually. Stanley Keller, whenever I wasn't able to drive, and it was very scary and nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And then Estes was the same whenever I was campaigning. Would it be possible to take from Field Street and go down 1 block to Haltom Road? How much more would that be just to go from basically right in front of where...
So where are you talking about?
Down where it ends at Field and Stanley,
Where's the pointer on this thing at?
down at the other end.
Down here?
Yeah, is
Sir.
it possible to take that just basically one block more down to Haltom Road? So that way they have I believe there's a crosswalk.
So help me out here on the map.
Keep going
Phil,
down.
Is that Haltom Road right there?
That's G.
Okay, there's,
No, go where your Field Street is ended.
there,
Then just go straight down.
that
So
way.
right there will be about Haltom Road.
Okay.
So it's about a block more, and I think if I remember right, that's a crosswalk intersection. So the kids would have a safe place to go across, and then they would have the sidewalk to be able to go all the way down and get across as well.
Okay. We can look at that now. That's a good point.
Okay.
I don't think we had a conversation last week or 2 weeks ago with COG's handling the coordination, and it's a minor scope change. I don't think that's a problem. We'll definitely look into it though.
I appreciate it, and also help
It's not going to be
people.
that much more money.
And it shouldn't be too much, I don't think, and also would help get as well access from there. Then you pretty much got sidewalks all the way to the library as well.
Correct. Yeah, and like I said, these are important projects for the city, and this one being zero money for the city, it's a
Right.
no-brainer and that's why we broke it up to two projects. I'm hoping to get at least one and hopefully both.
You picked two excellent locations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. I know that this one here is a heavily traveled road.
Thank you, Councilman Guis. Council Van Zandt.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm curious, did they set a time frame once you receive the money? Do you have a time frame to get the work done in?
Yes, and a lot of cities get in trouble with that. They'll end up dragging the project out and potentially lose funding. They like to set a deadline of when you can, from the time they give you the money, or the time they start the project to it's finished. And I don't know exactly the time frame on that, but it's fairly generous. But some cities sit on them a while and then they get in trouble with funding. So we won't do that.
Yeah, and also when I was campaigning on that road on Stanley Keller, there are so many large trees that are right close. So would the city be responsible for removing those trees for the sidewalk?
We'll try to work around any trees we can, but
Okay.
if we can't, then we'll have to remove them. If they're, as long as they're within our right of way.
Okay,
I don't like to remove trees for several reasons. So it's the one that have been, folks have had in their yard for 30 and 40 years.
agree.
And plus, if they're hard, you can't replace a 40-year-old tree.
Right,
So we'll do everything in our power to, and we do that on all of our projects. We always tell the contractor up front on the projects we have under construction now, Jolie and Swan, that they can't cut a tree down. If it's not on the plans, I mean, we have to go out and physically look at every tree.
Sure.
They can't randomly go out and cut trees down.
all right,
'Cause
thank you so much.
That becomes a problem.
Thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Thompson's.
Yes, just a general question, and you kind of touched on it. What was the criteria for determining where you were going to put these in? The sidewalks?
We looked at several elementary schools. We looked at several. It's kind of more of going out and looking at the maps and going out in the field and and we had like 5 or 6 different locations that we had that obviously served the elementary schools. A couple of them we eliminate right off the bat because there was right-of-way issues. Plus there were some things that we would have to take out to put the sidewalk in that wasn't going to be pleasant, and there were some old structures and things of that nature. So we narrowed it down to a couple of projects based on that.
Okay,
So
that's just mainly so the people that see the video later might have an understanding of the things that you took into account.
yeah, we tried to do it where we could not impact the homeowners. I don't want to take out trees as much as possible, and try to eliminate having to construct retaining walls, and there was several other things. So we walked it. We spent a couple days going all throughout the city looking at these different locations.
Well, we definitely appreciate your work on this
Thanks.
and presenting it to us.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Councilman Grow.
Has it been determined what side of the street sidewalks will be put on? Is it going to be the south side,
I believe on this one it'd be the north side.
north side,
Let me double check. South side?
south side?
Don't you know?
And-
Yeah, it's the south side.
Would there be crosswalks dispersed through that? Because Stanley Keller is a fairly long street, and it only has 2 stop signs, one on Jean, and then there's one at Hunter or something like that.
If there's a crosswalk if there's a logical place to put crosswalks at a stop sign, we'll look at that through the design process.
Well, but from Jean to the next one, there's a significant distance between those
Right.
two. So I would think that another crosswalk because yes, the stop signs make logical sense,
Right.
but in between the stop signs, that's a great distance between Stanley Keller is a wide and popular road.
We'll look into that. That'll all go through the design process. We'll take
Okay.
a look at that. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wee.
Thank you, Walter, for saying that. That reminds me, and I always say the street wrong. I hope I'm saying it right. Is it Janata? The three-way, the single stop right there, right in the middle between Jean Lane and Haltom. I
Yes.
think maybe we can put a three-way stop there with a crosswalk. That might actually help with traffic flow as well. The suggestion.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more questions from council? If you don't, we have one of very important subject we need to do because last time we don't have time. At this time, thank you, sir. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry.
You're still talking to me.
You're looking good. You can stand there all day. By the way, every time we have new council member, this is very important that the Texas Open Meeting Act and very important for the new council and also for the old council. Try to refresh the memory. This is a very important subject for any government body. Now, I would like to introduce you, our city attorney, Wayne Olson, will present you the Texas Open Meeting Act. Go ahead, sir. Your time. You want to sit here or stand up?
I could do either, but there was some discussion beforehand, since we've got one of our new council members not here tonight, whether it would be beneficial for her to be here to hear the presentation too. I'm open to whatever. I'm prepared to do it tonight, but if the council would prefer to wait for our new council member to be here, then we can do this at the next meeting.
I prefer to wait. I think she's going to be here on the next meeting.
Yeah.
I think we go ahead and wait.
Okay. Yeah, this is very important, and it'll be beneficial, I hope, to the new council members. It will be a refresher for the council members who have heard it before or been dealing with it, and I hope the audience picks up some information from this too. But I'll be prepared to do that, Mayor, at the next council meeting when we have a full council here.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
We have the executive session tonight.
Yes, we have a couple of things to talk
At this
about.
time, we have no more work session agenda, so we reside into the executive session based on the Texas Chapter 551 of Texas Government Code on the section 551.071 and 551.072 at the 6:24. Right now, 7:08, June 8, 2018. This is a regular session. At this time, I call in to order. At first, invocation and blessed allegiance will conduct by Greg. Go ahead, sir. Which one? Greg. Oh, Rex. I'm sorry, I thought Greg. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, Lord, we come before you tonight with thankful hearts for this community and this board. We just ask that you would guide this board to do things in a way that would please you. And we thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace. And we thank you for loving us and forgiving us even when we don't deserve it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic in which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Fell. And welcome everyone here again on regular session. My name is Ann Truong. I'm Mayor of Haltom City, and thank you, staff and City Council. The next item will be announcement and events. Will conduct by City Secretary, Mr. Akamacho. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Meeting announcements for July 8, 2019 in the public library. There are teen programs, family movie night, summer reading program, adult GED, ESL classes, and other library activities are all listed on the library's website for their dates and times, so please check the website. Thursday, July 11th, they're having the Cardboard Kingdom is building the Space Station Edition from 6:30 to 8 p.m. They'll be building rockets, space stations, and UFOs out of cardboard. On Tuesday, July 16th, there's a lunar landing party at 2 p.m. celebrating the 50th anniversary of the moon landing by creating your own moon rock and learn about the lunar landing. Happy Birthday, Harry, a Harry Potter celebration will be held Wednesday, July 31st at 2 p.m., and you come dressed as your favorite Harry Potter character. Teen Space Laser Tag will be on Friday, July 26th at 6 p.m., and registration is required. Galaxy Mugs and Constellation Coasters will be Thursday, July 18th at 6:30 p.m., and you can create your very own space-themed coasters and mugs. This is free, but registration is required, so please go online. In community programs, the 2019 Haltom calendar images, all the entries from the 2019 images of Haltom City are available to pick up from the Haltom Rec Center until Friday, July 19th. Haltom Youth Baseball is hosting a community benefit bash on Saturday, July 20th at McQuiston Field, with the registration starting at 4 p.m. The bash has two events, the first being a barbecue cook-off with a $100 entry fee for a 50-50 cash prize, and the entry must be submitted by 7 p.m. The second one is a home run derby with different age divisions and a $5 entry fee, which must be submitted by 8 p.m. The proceeds benefit the Haltom City Senior Center and the Haltom City Firefighters Benevolent Fund. Full rules are posted at www.leaguelineup.com/Haltom Youth Baseball, and you can also contact Jennifer Phillips at 817-352-6334. Refresh BISD that Haltom will be supporting it for their back-to-school event will be held on Saturday, August 17th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Wally G. Coliseum at 6108 Broadway in Haltom City. It serves students eligible for free and reduced lunch programs at all elementary and middle schools in Haltom City, North Richland Hills, and Watauga, attending the Birdville Independent School District. During Refresh BISD, there will be backpack giveaways, school supplies, haircuts, eye exams, sports physicals, hot dogs, helpful resources, and a time of fun. Refresh BISD aims to get students ready for school, families connected with the community, and people transforming our cities. Online registration has been extended to July 10th, and you must pre-register by then in order to attend. No school supplies will be delivered to school campuses after Refresh, so you must pre-register and attend to receive them. And to register your students online, visit www.refreshbisd.com. And the Rec Center still has a few spots left in the Super Kids Summer Camp. You can join them in their final weeks for great entertainment and fun for the kids. Ages 6 to 13 are welcome, and the cost is $100 per week. For new campers, there is a $25 administration fee, and the summer camp will end August 9th. And for more information, you can contact the Rec Center at 817-831-6464. The Citizens Emergency Response Team classes, applications are available online on the city website beginning August 1st. The classes will begin September 9th through October 5th. And that's our community announcements, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Camacho. The next item will be Park and Recreation Month. Mr. Councilman Rowe, would you do it?
Come on, Don. It's not that cold.
We're all gonna suffer together. Okay, this is from the Office of the Mayor. Proclamation, designation of July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas Park and Recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including the city of Haltom City, and our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining a quality of life in our communities, ensuring health of all our citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas park and recreation programs build healthy and active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic diseases, providing therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, crime reduction, and are fundamental in the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas parks and natural recreation areas improve water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of air we breathe, provide vegetation buffers to development, produce habitat for wildlife, ensure the ecology beauty of our community, and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives have designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and the City of Haltom City recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Ann Trung, on behalf of the Haltom City Council, recognize July as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Haltom City. There you go.
Thank you, everyone involved with the Parks and Recreation. You have done a good job, and our park looking good day by day, and hope someday will be one of the best in Tarrant County. Thank you. The next item will be a consent agenda. We have item number 1, minutes. Item number 2, appointment of the municipal judge, second reading. Council, you have any question for this item? If not, I'm ready for motion. Ms. Councilman Weiss.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, which includes item 1 and item 2.
Thank you, Ms. Weiss, for motion, and I need second. No one? Councilman Grohl?
I'll take a second.
Okay, we got the second. Go ahead, register your vote, please. Item number 1 and 2 passed with the absence of Susan Soul. Thank you. I move to regular agenda. Item number 3, insulate boom basket truck purchase. Let I read your name, okay? Hang on. Greg Van Nieuwenhuis.
Van Nieuwenhuis. Just call me Greg.
I getting close.
Wow. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get to my very short presentation.
Sorry, I thought I did.
Is it not in there?
Yeah, no,
Oh.
it is in there. But I thought
Okay.
I fast forwarded through Mr. Wayne's 80 slides.
Oh. So-
Go ahead, sir.
Do I have to attend the next council meeting?
Yes, you do.
80. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first of my 2 items, both items are on equipment purchases. The first item is requesting authorization to purchase an insulated boom bucket truck. This is the insulated boom bucket truck that we desire. The situation is this was going to be an item that we intended to request through a decision package in the upcoming budget. The cost of these is rather expensive. Our street division, specifically the street supervisor, which is Brock Coleman, who is in attendance, so if you have questions that I can't answer, I'm sure he can. But we came across, being that the price was so expensive, did a little bit more research. We came across this insulated boom bucket truck here that's in Kentucky. It is a 2018 model. The normal price that we would guess for an insulated boom bucket truck is north of 120, maybe even closer to 150,000 at this size. This one is 85,000. The real reason for that is the entity spec'd this bucket truck out and for whatever reason never purchased it. So it's been sitting on the lot for quite a few months. I think it only has like 85 miles on it, but just basically being driven from one lot to the other. The city does have a boom bucket truck, but it is not an insulated boom bucket truck. An insulated boom is exactly that. The boom, the part that rises in the air, is insulated. It's recommended that when you deal around electricity that you use an insulated boom and not a non-insulated boom. Being that the street division uses this mainly, we use it for changing traffic signal heads, changing traffic signal bulbs, or street lights on traffic signals, your lighted street name signs. We have video cameras scattered throughout the city. So quite often our public works needs year-round electricity, which is why we were going to request it in the upcoming budget. The Parks and Rec division does use it as well. They use it to trim some of the trees in our parks and other areas when they're not by power lines, when they're within the parks for the most part. There's not a need to have an insulated bucket truck, but for us there is. So the main reasons that the Public Works Department would like it is, first and foremost, employee safety. Secondly, while we have 15 traffic signalized intersections that are our responsibility right now, once the city exceeds a population of 50,000, we're going to get 17 more intersections. Essentially, we will get all of TxDOT's intersections except for the ones along the Loop 820 corridor. So that load's gonna more than double. And lastly, we're always replacing the aerial cameras throughout the city, and that workload doesn't seem to be going down, it seems to be going up. Again, as I indicated, the price of this truck is $85,000. We have estimated that's gonna cost somewhere around $2,000 to get it from Kentucky to here. The 3-year warranty is just under $3,000. Another advantage of purchasing this truck versus ordering one is the typical order time is 270 to 300 days after you order it, where this truck could be here probably in a matter of weeks. So it's with that we recommend that you authorize this purchase. And like I said, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And again, Brock's here as well.
How many buckets we have right now?
We just have the one.
One.
Right.
And how high this one can raise?
I believe the one we have is about 25 foot, 26? 39, 40 foot. Okay.
And this one can go higher,
This
right?
one goes 45.
45.
Right. We also have Jonathan Elliott. He is the individual that probably uses this bucket truck more than anyone in the city.
And the main thing, it is single person operate or have to be two?
Single? Yes, single.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Mr. Hillier, go ahead, ma'am.
I just want to confirm that when we have the control of all of the signals, that we can do something about Denton Highway and Webster. That timing is awful.
It is, and I'm trying to do something with the North Tarrant area office, but to date, they're looking for funding, and they've asked if the city might participate in the funding, and I've returned the ball back in the court by asking them at what level. Depending on what the level is, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I get complaints about that intersection and Broadway, and Denton Highway is the next most complained about intersection.
Yes, good. Well, may we get to 50,000 soon. The other question is, the funds are available out of the equipment replacement fund, right? That was approved in 2018-19 budget year?
I believe that's a fund that every year more money is put into it. Mr. Lane could probably tell you more about that fund.
Yes, ma'am. That's a fund that was started back in 2015 by the former finance director. And the money that we put into that fund, as you may or may not know, we contract with Enterprise for our small fleet. And so the savings that we realize from contracting with them with our small fleet, we're able to put some of that savings into a fleet replacement fund. There was money put into it in 2015, and it's never been completely drained, but that is a source of funding for this exact kind of a purchase.
Oh, that's very good, because as I read this, for this and the next item, I was thinking, if it was something that was budgeted for 18-19 and then we didn't buy it, we're going to use the money for this, then what was it that wasn't going to be purchased? But based on the funding, where this funding is coming from, it's not affecting anything that was in the budget to be purchased.
That's correct. And if you want to kind of look at it, it's kind of like a contingency fund. You know, there's also times where we have surplus equipment that becomes available that we didn't know was going to become available. So we keep that funded for, this is probably a perfect example of why we created and keep and maintain that fund.
Well, I greatly applaud you for finding this deal. It sounds like it's really great for us.
All the thanks goes to the street division. I just had one other photo. That's the reason why we need the insulated bucket truck. This might be the worst location around town, but just to show you what, when he's replacing traffic signal heads, that's what he's obviously has not come into contact with, because he's here tonight, but he
Ms. Thompson.
Okay, Greg, what, the former bucket that we have that is broken, or shall we say the motor has seen its better days?
No, that's not on the existing bucket truck that we have. It's in fairly decent shape. It's
okay.
only 4 to 6 years old. We'd like to keep that, and I'm sure if Christy's still here, she'd like us to keep it as well.
Sure. Okay, what is the expectancy, the life expectancy of this piece of equipment? How long have you had the other one then?
The one that we have is a 2011, And we feel that we can get 4 to 6, with the maintenance and the way it's been used presently, easily another 4 to 6 years without it needing any major maintenance. So I think you can see it's a piece of equipment that when maintained properly, easily 15 years or thereabouts.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I got my,
Oh, that's okay.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. And any more question? If you don't have any question on item number 3, this item ready for motion. Mr. Brandweed.
Click on the trigger again. For item 3, the insulated boom truck, I make a motion that we approve the purchase.
Thank you, sir. On the motion, and number 2, second for Ms. Rowe.
As for a second.
Okay, we got second now. Register for your vote, please. Item number 3 passed. Thank you. You can stand there for our next one, right? And item number 4, skid steer loader purchase.
Right. Now, this is a piece of equipment that's regularly used by the Construction and Drainage Division. And the skid steer loader that we have right now is about 9 to 10 years old, and it's in the shop. The current diagnosis is that the engine block is cracked, so it needs to be replaced. The estimate that we have on it right now is a little over $28,000, where a brand new one is $67,000. We also know that while the $28,000 is the estimate on the engine, the air conditioner doesn't work on it either. And our experience is once you start taking it apart, they're gonna find other items wrong with it. It would not surprise us that if this bill ends up, if we were to get it fixed at $35,000 to $40,000, it seems the more prudent thing to do would be to just replace this piece of equipment. Like I said, a new one is just a little over $67,000. However, with the extended warranty, that'd be another $3,000 to $5,000 on top of that. With the old broken skid leader, we would auction that off. I have talked to the police chief. Neither one of us have a really good idea on what that's gonna bring at auction, but I can't believe it's gonna bring that much in the condition it's in. Presently, we were using this piece of equipment on the Diamond Oaks drainage channel, and obviously we're not. We're having to do that work by hand, which is taking a job that should take a few days to a week or so into multiple weeks. So it is a highly used piece of equipment by that division. That too is being recommended to be replaced out of the city's equipment replacement fund, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have on that piece of equipment.
Council, you have a question? Mr. Thompson.
on this piece of equipment, say you really, no one even wants to buy it, is there any parts that could be used on the new one that would be interchangeable?
No, in fact, one of the advantages of this skid steer is the attachments, like the bucket that you see on the front. We also have a grappler. All of our attachments will fit on
The new
this.
one?
Correct.
Okay, great. Well, at least something could be salvageable
Right.
in that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Council Marion Hillier.
Do you have an idea about the delivery time on this?
From dealing with Zimmerman Kubota, which is somewhat of a local entity, we've been told it'd just be a few weeks from the time that we issue the purchase order.
So that's going to help with the Diamond Oaks project.
Right.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Council Van Zandt.
Thanks for your work on this and being so keen with the eye to find it. I wanted to ask you, do you think it's safe to say that the delay of work on this and that drainage area there behind Georgian, do you think that that's contributing in any way to the mosquito control?
I don't think so, and that's because that division works really closely with our environmental specialist. That happens to be an area that we treat regularly every year.
All right, thank you.
So he is conscious of that and doing what he needs to do to make sure that that mosquito population is controlled.
You have any more question, ma'am? Okay. We have no question, and at this time, the item number 4 ready for motion. Ms. Weiss, Councilman. Now he's switched around, and okay, Ms. Rowe, go ahead.
I was overzealous with hitting the microphone button. I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the skid steer loader.
Thank you for a motion and second.
I'd be for a second.
Ms. Weiss, your second. Thank you. Any more question? Or go ahead, register your vote, please. Ms. Thompson. Item number 4 passed with 6-0 approval. Now we go to item number 5, the ordinance number O.2019.017.15. Zoning change hearing. Ms. Batchelor, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the application of Karen Mitchell with Mitchell Planning Group on behalf of Mark Talley for a zoning change request from M1 Industrial to PD M1 Plan Development, locally known as 4233 Janata Street. The applicant requests to rezone the subject site for a proposed manufacturing tenant named AER Precision. The operation would be relocated from Fort Worth. Services they provide are remanufacturing, rebuilding, and reassembly of transmissions. The hours of operation would be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. All operations will be conducted within the building, and there will be no outside storage of inventory or materials. The PD ordinance adds 3 definitions to be used as part of clarifying the specific type of use they are proposing. The existing definitions in the city's current ordinance do not have definitions that clearly line up with what they are proposing. This is also part of the reason for the PD zoning. The new definitions are assembly, remanufacture, and rebuild. In the packet of information that Council received, the applicant has provided information regarding employment and average pay of employees, along with a general summary of who they are and what they bring to Haltom City. And according to TAD, this is an 80,000 square foot building that was built in 1955. If we look at the screen up here, this is the property. For some of you people that have been around a while, that's the old Wynn's Paper Company. This is their proposed site plan with high estimate of the current employees would be 95 total. If they were to add a second shift, then there would be some additional parking requirements. But this is the proposed parking layout for up to 95 employees. They've got a dumpster enclosure proposed here with the dumpster and a recycle container, which the ordinance was modified on item number 7 to include that, because our original draft was to have the container inside, but this shows that it will be screened being on the outside. Fire lane, currently the north approach is here. There's one about midpoint here. They're going to close that off and move it a little bit further south. That makes a perfect fire lane ingress egress off of Janata. 4 handicap parking spaces, because we're closing in on 100 parking spaces, 1 for every 25. And plenty of green space. Currently, this area here is paved all the way to the curbing, so they'll have a 5-foot landscape buffer with the curb stops on these proposed parking spaces. And there is already a decorative fence that was installed, I guess, about 6 or 7 years ago that was permitted. It's got the bear claw top on it. This is the, I took this afternoon. We went out there. I was a little concerned about the placement of this dumpster enclosure, but upon looking at it, this runs perpendicular to the building, so the power lines and transformer, thank you. I had transmission on the brain. Transformers would not be affected by the dumpster enclosure being here. This bay door will be marked as do not enter, not operable. So that's not a concern as much as it was until we saw the site. This is facing north of the building. Some of these bay doors will not be utilized. They'll just be using this north door, so these will be marked also. This is facing south to the entryway of the office. Their picture shot of where the dumpster enclosure is going to be, this green space will remain. And facing south, all that green space will remain down there. This is looking south along the fence line. Again, there's that bear claw decorative fencing. And they do have some fairly mature trees there on the Janata side. This is facing west from Janata. Again, there's no landscaping here. They're going to put in a 5-foot green space, curb stops, and so these parking will line up just a little bit differently. Facing north towards Glenview. Facing east, there's Nurse Assist on Haltom Road, and facing south towards Stanley Keller. And I think this is Craig's deal, so I'll stop here. If you have any questions of me, and then the applicant is also here.
I have seen none. Oh, Mr. Van Zandt?
I did see several, did I read correctly that there will be 2 to 4 18-wheelers that will be coming in through that area daily?
They have box trucks and semis that will deliver, and I believe the majority of them will come in on box trucks, and they'll be crated, delivered on that north end dock area. But 2 to 4 deliveries per day.
Okay, and just for clarification, so everyone knows, those trucks will not be coming through the residential area of Stanley Keller?
Correct. Wrote that in there where they will only come from the north end on Glenview and not traverse across the railroad tracks into the residential area to Stanley Keller.
Thank you.
Any more question? Okay, there's no more question from council. Ms. Thompson, next time need to be quicker. Say time.
I'm being polite. Okay, this may be for the owner, maybe.
Okay.
In here, we're talking about there are no hazardous material. Okay, but we'll be working on transmissions and things of that nature, so there will be fluids.
There will be fluids that are drained from the transmissions and recycled, much like a grease trap at a restaurant. And all that will be contained inside and then hauled off by a recycling company.
Okay. And how often will that occur?
That would be a question for the applicant.
And there were no objections from anyone as far as the mail out?
We had none opposed, none in favor, 2 returned to sender, and 1 call from Micah Corporation, and they were fine with it once they got their answers.
Okay. So as far as the neighborhood, everyone, as far as the radius went?
Bear in mind, it only
everybody's-
goes out 200 feet from the property line, so more than likely with GST being to the south, they probably were not notified other than seeing the blue sign that Jonathan put out there.
Right. Okay. Thank you much.
Thank you.
No. At this time, we have no question from council. I go ahead open the public hearing at the 7:42. Anyone in the audience would like to speak against or favor to this item? Go ahead, sir. Please state your name.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Craig Farmer. I'm not Karen Mitchell, but I'm representing the Mitchell Planning Group. And our applicant is here tonight, Mark Talley, the owner of the building. The request that's before you, and let me see where my slides are. I got confused with this last time. There we go. The request that's before you is from a firm that the parent firm is currently in Carrollton, Texas. They have about 700,000 square feet there, 800 employees, coincidentally about 800 million in sales. They remanufacture engines and other automotive things, basically for major automotive companies. A lot of places in this economy, rather than putting in a brand new engine, puts in a rebuild, and it's very common. So this is, in effect, a manufacturing firm in Carrollton. Let's see, I covered all that. So they have purchased a firm in Fort Worth called, and they're calling it AER Precision, and they would like to locate this firm at this location. As mentioned, it's about an 80,000 square foot building. They specialize in rebuilding transmissions, and the 65 employees, maybe as much as 118 months. If it goes more than that, of course, they have to add parking and other things, so they have to coordinate that with the city. Average salary is a little bit less than $60,000 a year for these employees. And again, they're paying those salaries where they're at. So this is, it's gonna have a pretty good sized payroll for those employees. The building owner, again, is Tally Rents from Las Colinas, and again, Mark Tally, the actual applicant, is here, and he can answer questions if I can't cover them. This is the Carrollton operation. It's off their website. They use a lot of robotics and everything else. I don't know to the degree they're going to do it here, but they will be making a lot of internal equipment improvements for their work. As mentioned, this location, it's M1. We had quite a bit of discussion with staff. The use charts don't deal with remanufacturing. It deals with manufacturing, but not remanufacturing. We had the choice of perhaps asking for M2, and I don't know if I can get to the pointer, but there's properties to the north, and there's a property to the south that's zoned M2. We have a gas well behind us, and we have the railroad tracks. But even M2 would require a conditional use permit, and your staff suggested that we would go the planned development route, so you would have more assurances that this will not be just any old transportation place. It's actually a manufacturing operation. So we developed the planned development. That's redundant, I apologize. Your current M1 does allow machine shops and various other freight yards, truck repairs and other things, but again, remanufacture is not listed in the use chart. So we developed the planned development. We listed the definitions of remanufacturing in there. The planned development allows M1 uses under the normal M1 conditions plus remanufacturing subject to all those additional conditions. This is the existing building from Google Maps. You can see at one point it had a lot of trucking and warehousing there. Today it's currently vacant. The entire parking lot's been resurfaced. That's the fencing. The truck loading will be at this northern end. Again, it's shown. I have no clue where. Oh, a pointer. How about that? Thank you. The truck loading will be right here at the northern end, and that works well for the trucks to come in here off Glenview, come up here, and they can just back in. Coincidentally, your staff, in a moment of brilliance, I will give it to them. We were looking for parking spaces. We were trying to figure out how to add more parking spaces out here. Ms. Batchelor suggested, apparently, that we straighten out the fire lane, and we added all this parking right here because of her suggestion. When I told my client that, he said, duh, Craig, you should have figured that out by yourself, but that's a different story. Anyway, so they were very helpful on that. So the new paved areas will be right here and right here, so it'll be pretty minimal. Any trees that are removed will be replaced. So these are the trees to the north. You can see the cabinet operation right there. The building itself, I would point out that sign right there is about what the kinds of signs they'll have. The plan development is very clear that there's no drop-off, no drive-by traffic at all. It's a manufacturing plant. They'll have a small manufacturing sign, and that's written in the plan development. Again, you've seen some of these pictures with the landscaping to the south. One good point right here is the paving right here is in really rough shape, and the current driveway, which sits just beyond that sign there, has a manhole and doesn't meet any of your standards for any kind of a driveway, so that'll be eliminated, and a few parking places added also. So the other change in response, I told the Planning and Zoning Commission I was a little bit inaccurate. The transmission and parts being recycled and rebuilt would be inside the building. There is some scrap metal that comes off of that, and they will put that in a dumpster that's right here at this location, and they'll have a fence in front of it screened. So there'll be 2 dumpsters there. All the other operations, noise and everything else is inside the totally enclosed building. Fluids, as you asked, they will, when those tanks fill up, they'll immediately get them hauled off because it'll interfere with their operations if they don't. So they have tanks inside, 300 gallons, I believe was the term. And they put the fluids in there. There's some cleaning fluids and things like that, but they're not hazardous. They're more biodegradable kinds of fluids. And so it's removed. We added the 2 18 by 18 foot areas, and then of course that took care of that. So at this point, My client was a little bit concerned about how detailed this zoning case was, and I said, well, you're probably gonna have to get that detailed in the site plan anyway, eventually. And on top of that, it'll reassure them that you're serious about putting this project in and making sure it's a good project. So we think it's a good first-class manufacturing operation, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer. Pretty good presentation. So at this time, you have any question for him? Look like you done a good job. And anyone else? Thank you, sir. Oh, go ahead, sir. I got the late question here. Councilor Thompson.
Too slow, I guess I was.
I'm just being polite. First of all, I want to thank you for the interest in coming to Haltom City.
It's Mr. Talley, yes, ma'am.
And if everything, once you get everything in place, how soon will you be operational?
They actually are concerned about having to wait for a second reading. They want to get in there as soon as they can. So they'll sign the lease and be moving stuff fairly quickly. Obviously, we've got a few things we got to do to meet your code.
Sure. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Thank you, sir. Ms. Farmer. By the way, in audience, anyone to speak again? This item number 5. If none, public hearing will be closed at 7:49. Now, Council, you don't have any more question and ready for Ms. Rowe, Council Rowe.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance Oscar-2019-017-15, also known as zoning case number Zulu-006-19 for first reading. And also I'd like to say that my father-in-law worked at Wynn's Paper when it was there, so I've been through that building many times, and it's been sad that it's been sitting so empty for so long. So I'm happy that it's going to be occupied by a business bringing 100 jobs to Haltom City, and so it's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rowe and Ms. Thompson.
Mayor, that would be for second.
Okay, we got the motion and we got a second. Now, if you don't have any more questions, go ahead and register your vote, please. Item number 6, number 4, correct? Item number 5 passes with 6-0. Now, Mr. Pruitt, we got the playground equipment purchase. It is for the Haltom Road Park, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Here to talk to you about the exciting Haltom Road Park, all-inclusive, all-access park that we've been talking about for a while. Several of you met us down at the park with our park board members to view the future, hopefully future site of this exciting addition to our park system. Back in the fall, I was able to attend a seminar on an initiative that was a partnership with Texas Recreation and Park Society and Playcore/Game Time Equipment. They are really working to create some national demonstration sites with parks and playgrounds in the state of Texas. So they are doing these matching grants for the playgrounds that meet these needs. So we applied for that grant. We received the grant. So it is a 50-50 match. As with most park grants, we never get 100% funding like Greg over there. So we have to put up a little bit of money. We had already put some funding in the budget this year with the bond funds to create this playground. With a matching grant, we are able to build that on a much grander scale. So I wanted to share with you some of the renderings. Again, these are just kind of the initial ideas. That will be a soft rubber surface, so it will not be like the wood chips that you're used to seeing in our playgrounds. This is an ADA accessible surface. It is nice and spongy on your feet. It's wonderful to run and play around on. You'll see we have some shade structures over. I think there's 4 or 5 slides. There's climbing structures. There's a wheelchair ramp that allows anyone on a wheelchair, walker, cane, crutches to access that entire play unit. There is a ramp. Is this the pointer? Oh, that's called a rockin' raft, and it is similar to a teeter-totter, but it's something that someone in a wheelchair could play on that just like an able-bodied individual. These things are my favorite. They're called kaleidoscopes, as are these things. They actually, the sun will shine through those and create the kaleidoscope onto the ground. The other one will create the dot features. That's really great for sensory kids. Our autistic kiddos, we're not leaving them out. That's a large population. We have lots of sensory panels here along the rainbow ramp, as it's called. We did choose to go with red, white, and blue. We are at the Haltom Road Park where the Veterans Memorial is. We felt like this was a great location. It really kind of marries those two elements in that park. It's really going to create a family destination. So you can go and do a historical lesson. Grandma, Grandpa can take the grandkids up to the Veterans Memorial and share their stories, and then they can roll on over to the park and play with their kids. So it's going to be a really neat project. We're very excited. This is just another view. We do have some musical elements as well that have shown great studies and research that have shown that is not just a great benefit for autistic kids, but for the older generation, that it just keeps you younger playing with the music and the instruments. It's just a great feature to have too. So that is the renderings. With this project, it's not included in this actual cover sheet, but I did want to show you, we are able to add 23 parking spots. And 3 of those will be handicap accessible. These are larger spaces, so there will be plenty of room there. But that way we do have head-in parking off of that drive that will be much easier to just literally get out of the car and roll right up to that playground. So that being said, once again, we did already put some funding in the budget to cover this project through our 2010 park bonds that were released. We do get a 50-50 matching grant on the playground equipment only. They don't do install, they don't do the surfacing or any of the extra features that we wanted to add. But the playground unit itself was $113,000. Playgrounds are expensive. When I retire, that's what I'm gonna do, is sell playgrounds. But they would pay 50% of that. So the grand total you're looking at includes freight installation, the port-in-place surfacing, which is very expensive. It's almost $50,000 itself. And all the extras. So that does not include the parking lot, but that is also covered in our budget as well. So we're just asking, the company we got the grant from is Game Time. They are on our buy board contract for the city. So there's no bid option that we have to go out for. So we are just asking that the council and mayor approve this purchase so we can get this awesome park built.
Thank you, Ms. Pruitt. At this time, we would like to ask Mr. Brandwees. Go ahead, sir.
I think I speak on behalf of everybody up here. Thank you for your hard work and getting this project going. It's been a long time that we've needed it. If it does get approved, what's the turnaround time for it getting here and getting installed?
We're going to move very fast. Part of the grant is it has to be installed by October of 19. So if we sign on the dotted line, we can turn the order in tomorrow. Equipment has to be ordered in July in order to meet that install date. This is also something is going to create a national demonstration site for Playcore, and this will be presented at the Texas Recreation and Park Society State Conference in February. So it's a big deal for the city.
And this will hopefully open doors to be able to put this in other sites within our city?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Thompson.
Okay, restate on the materials being used, such as the foam, padding, flooring. What happens if that is damaged in some way? Do we do sections of that, or kind of like carpet? You can get a square and go in, plug it in?
Yes. Yes, the maintenance of the port-in-place surfacing, one, the labor is virtually nothing until we have a tear or rip. The wood chips, we're consistently spending $2,000 to $3,000 a load just to fill up one playground. You can't imagine the amount of hours it is to rake that in. So the labor is definitely minimized significantly. If there is a rip or tear, that section can be glued back together, as from what I understand with the seams, or if it's more significant damage, that section can be cut out and re-poured.
Okay. And the other materials used in the different sections, it gets hot in Texas. Is this a material that does not hold heat? What is the durability as far as that factor, the hot and the cold?
It is Texas, so anything on the ground is going to be hot. But from what I understand, this surface, because it is porous, seems to be much cooler. We were looking at putting artificial turf instead, and we were steered away from that because of the heat factor. That draws the heat, and this tends to cool more so than the turf.
Well, how about on the playground equipment itself?
It's all the same standard equipment that's out on any of our playgrounds. You're not going to have metal slides. That's a thing of the past when I was a kid. But it's all the same. It's the plastic stuff, so it's not going to burn like the metal ones did.
Okay, and that too can be replaced, I'm assuming?
Yes, ma'am.
If it's damaged?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, dear.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Any more questions? If you don't, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
that for hard working. And by the way, this item number 6 ready for a motion. Ms. Weiss, go ahead, sir.
For item 6, playground equipment purchase, I make a motion that we approve it.
And a second? Ms. Walter Grove.
That's for a second.
We got the second and the motion. Now, rest of your vote, please. I believe item number 6 is passed with 6-0. Now we move to item number 7, resolution number R2019-015-03. Mr. Financial Director, Ms. Fox.
I'm going to let Glenna cover the details of this, but I just wanted to let all of you know that this is only for planning and permitting fees, so the normal fee schedule will be adopted during the budget process like it normally is. So the fees presented to you is only in regards to the House bill that Glenna will explain.
Thank you, Sedona. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So May 8th of this year, Governor Abbott signed a House bill that essentially we cannot use valuation to determine building permits for residential uses. So we had to come up with a calculation formula. And on new residences, we've always charged per square foot to give us a valuation, and then we calculate our building permit. So I just kind of had to extract that and take our building permit and divide it up by the square footage to come up with the for new houses, the 75 cents a square foot. Additions, pretty much the same thing to get our permit fee, and then carport's 50 cents. So those are easy calculations on square footage. The other projects were a little bit more difficult. So what I did was take all the projects for residential use since we've had MyGov, which was 2017, and came up with a flat rate average for those projects. So instead, you can't always calculate by square footage on those, like you're talking about swimming pools in the ground, solar systems, windows, roofs, things like that. You can't calculate it out by square footage. So we just came up with a flat rate. That's what the majority of the municipalities in the area, in the state, are doing, since this is a House bill for the state of Texas. And that's where we're at. We have 3 projects that are by square footage. The rest of them are flat rate permits.
Councilor, you have a question? Let us ask you now. Seems like we have a lot of page here. 15 page, right?
Correct, but we are just.
No, 16, 17, 19, 20 page.
You got
right?
the whole fee schedule, but we're just looking at page 3 and page 5.
Page 3, page 5, and which one change it?
So if you look at building permit fees,
Yeah.
section F just pertains to commercial projects. Section F, and then we had to break it out for residential, and that's where we have the different project types, with 3 of them being by square footage, the other ones being flat rate fees.
Okay. I got it, thank you. How about on page number 4?
Page 5 is just
5, yeah.
adjusting the residential permit fee from a flat rate of $27.50 to $50. That has not been changed since 2012.
Okay. Okay, Council, you have any more question on this? If not, go ahead, this item ready for a motion. Thank you, ma'am, Ms. Bachelor. Good job. Councilman Guiz?
There it goes. For item number 7, resolution R 2019-015-03, I make the motion that we approve.
Thank you, Councilman Gui. And second, Ms. Rowe?
Second.
We got the second now. Please register your vote for item number 7. Item number 7, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 approved and 1 opposed by Councilman Hillier. Thank you. Item pass. Number 8, strategic goals. Ms. Lane, go ahead, sir.
Rex, can I borrow you a second? Can you advance that to the resolution side? Thank you, Mayor and Council. If you recall, on June 13th, we met together to come up with the council's strategic goals for 2019. You can go ahead to the next one, Rex. You have in your packets a resolution, a proposed resolution. I turned that into you with the same expectation I had of turning in my homework, usually of not getting an A. But we can talk about it tonight and make any changes that you may want to the goals listed here. Just as a reminder, and for those that weren't at the meeting, the way that we come up with the strategic goals is basically we have the meeting and we discuss what your goals may be, and I take notes on that, and then I sit down with Rex at some point and say, okay, Rex, this sounds like these are the strategic goals that we were being given, and we come up with those, and that's what we propose tonight. So they're up there on the board for the folks in the audience and the folks at home to see as well. This may look to the casual observer like a fluffy, feel-good wish list, but it could not be farther from the truth. This serves a very important purpose for me as a city manager. This is how I work with staff to come up with the proposed budget, and you as a council and mayor will receive the proposed budget on July 22nd. But the way that we start in March of each year working on the budget, so between March and July, this is one of the valuable, I'm sorry, Rex, you can sit down, buddy. Thank you. That's the only slide I have. I like to make him stand up there, make him think he's going to get to talk for a second. So this is very important to me as a city manager. As you know, we're in a council manager form of government. So I give you a proposed budget, and then you work on that proposed budget, and then you basically tell me what you approve as the budget in September of each year. So this is also very important because it's typically a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, and that's important when it comes to the capital improvement program. For example, you're basically telling us this is looking forward 3 to 5 years, and this is what we want you to accomplish. And within that CIP, we have capital improvement projects, and it helps the directors. Greg is probably the director that uses CIPs more than anyone else. It kind of gives Greg an idea of, okay, I need to space these CIPs out within the total program at these intervals. Same thing with, for example, a director comes to me with some decision packages and says, I'd like a position this year, I'd like a vehicle, I'd like this piece of equipment. It allows me to say, hey, I'm not going to propose that for fiscal year 18-19, but I'll propose that year 19-20 or 20-21. It gives that director some sense of a plan going forward. So this is an incredibly important document to me as well as the staff, because it gives us a plan. It tells us what you, as an elected body, wants us to accomplish. Some of the things we can do short-term accomplishments, but a lot of it, like I said, is geared towards kind of from here out to 5 years in most cases. So those are the items that we put together, and now, Mayor, I'll just throw it back to you and open it up for discussion. And if there's anything you want us to change on it, add to it, take away from it, tweak to it, and then what we'll do is we'll put together what you come together with tonight, and we'll put it probably on just the consent agenda for next meeting if you don't approve this one, and we can get it approved next time for you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane, City Manager. You know, during my term at the council member, and now I'm a mayor, my main concern is how to make the city look better. We are in the northeast 10 county, look around us. We are behind on the structure, the staff, the salary pay for employee, and on the strategic goal for 2019. I would like to, the city council, work together with me and the staff, try to make sure that in 2020, 1920, or in the future, we try to keep our experienced employee here. We don't have to pay the highest in the 10 county, but at least we are on the middle. And on the other hand, the city hall very important. You walk into this one, if anyone come in here often, you will see there is many problems. For example, the restroom right now just cannot close, and every time you close, you can hear a big sound, That's just one of the problems. When the building get this old, and there is a problem coming up, just like, aging, when get over 70 like me, sometimes I have to need the medical treatment, that's normal. That's why we need to care and take care ourselves. By the way, I wish the next budget council will work together with me and staff, try to make sure that our goals are accomplished, for now and the future. Anything we build from now until my term's over, or I don't know when, but for our future, not for me, and for yourself. So thank you so much, Ms. Lynn, and your staff working so hard. And this time I will open discussion for first one, Mr. Councilman Grove. Go ahead, sir.
I just think the timing of this, the strategic goals, because my understanding is you guys start working on the budget in April timeframe, so maybe in March. So you guys already started talking about the budget, and I know you guys are working off the previous strategic goals, but maybe move this, have this discussion.
The reason we had it, we wait till after the election.
Yep, I understand that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
I look at it, the council, at any time, it's like 4 people are usually up on every May. So either some are gonna stay, some are gonna go, but, the strategic goals is strategic goals at the time that they're met. So I just think having it prior to the directors or the staff talk about the budget, have it then, or maybe have it in October when the budget is adopted for whenever we finish the budget, discussion July, August, set the rates in August, September, and then when the first meeting in October, once the new budget's in place, then have the strategic goals for the next fiscal year, you have a little bit more time to say, okay, where are we at? Where are we looking? What did we do from the previous year? Because we don't get the CAFR until, February. And so we don't even have a full accounting. The audit is not complete until February. So, so we don't know how well we performed from the previous budget. We have an idea, but all the numbers aren't in yet.
Right. So I probably didn't explain this well enough, but we don't do these annually.
No.
The criteria that I use to do them is if we have a substantial change in elected officials, and the reason that the timing of it this year was we had numerous seats that were up. So I, of course, didn't want to have a strategic goals meeting with council members that may not have been there. Yeah. For example, Ms. Nunn wasn't running for re-election, so having Ms. Nunn sit through strategic goals session didn't make a lot of sense. So
that's part of being in the seat, though.
Yeah, and
she's not going to run.
Right. So, and prior to that, we were doing these every 5 years, but like I said, essentially what we run it on, and as you recall from the meeting, you were basically like, there's not a whole lot to change.
No, and there's not a lot of deviation.
Yeah, and you can sometimes, our job, mine and Rex's job, is to kind of sense from the elected officials, okay, is there a significant change in one or more of the strategic goals? If there is, that can be solved with having an entire discussion on them again, or maybe in a work session or something. But I didn't get that sense this time that there was going to be a major change from what we had before. But again, this is important to us because this is how we make plans. And I'll just use as an example what the mayor was talking about is, you know, if one of your strategic goals, which it's been a strategic goal since I've been city manager, was to build a law enforcement center in City Hall, that costs money to come up with that plan. You know, we probably spent $65,000 to come up with that plan when it was first established as a strategic goal. Well, to come up a year later and say, you know what, forget about that. There's a substantial cost to implementing that goal. So
I know. Yeah. And so, and that's why, you know, having it, I don't know, a couple meetings before the actual budget talks and before the directors have, you know, before you guys have your meeting. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just looking at it as having a longer runway to have discussions about it, because a lot of times is a lot of the things that we do is educational. And so that way we can say, hey, the strategic goals are what has been determined are X, Y, and Z, and here's why we are doing X, Y, and Z, and this is how X, Y, and Z is going to affect the budget. And so that, I guess, you know, that's how I'm approaching it.
Yeah, and that's how we approach it. I think we told you, I think the meeting was on a Thursday, and that Monday morning I met with all my department directors, and that's what we talked about.
Yeah, but
and since then,
yeah, but you've had meetings about budget in March and April, and so
what the meetings in March give me an idea as the city manager of what my department directors are wanting. And you have to remember, if we're operating off 2017 strategic goals, they're implementing their plan that they started back in 2017. So it gives me an idea as a city manager of like, okay, this is what I'm looking at in the budget. If they come up and say, we don't need anything, boss, that'll be the easiest budget I've ever done in my life. But I still want to make sure that we're accomplishing, you know, the latest set of strategic goals.
Yep. And maybe we should have a refresher, you know, at points in time that we go and say, hey, here are the strategic goals, and then just say where we are in the budget in meeting these goals. You know, to have a goal, you know, goals are smart, you know, they're measurable, you know, the timely, accountable. There's an acronym for that, and I'm a bad employee because I don't remember my acronyms, but having those goals, you know, and so how well are we performing to achieving those goals? And so maybe having, you know, we have these goals every 3-5 years, and then we have a revisit. How are we doing accomplishing these goals? You know, talking about it one time a year, and then forgetting about it. And I think that's some of the issues. So we set these things, and then so they get into the back burner because other things are going. And there are times that we need to be reminded of what are we trying to accomplish, and using the resources that the city gets in accomplishing those things.
Are you talking about you as a council?
Yeah, us as a council, because the citizens got to know.
And we try to constantly give that to you. We give you quarterly reports, monthly reports, and then performance measures in the budget.
And maybe we should, you know, tie them to, you know, because we only see these things at budget time, and so when we have these quarterly reports, it's like, okay, when we talk about the budget, here we are, and it doesn't have to be the whole list, but maybe like pick or choose a couple of things and say, hey, we're here, and in our quarterly report, or you know, or monthly, you know, just pick something out of where we are in the general fund, and this is what's coming out. You know, we keep coming back to the city hall, but you know, looking at an employee matters. You know, I would. You know, do we still have a education reimbursement fund? So how many employees are using the education? Because we want to. These are some of the benefits, and what are the employees doing with that? Because I would love to, anytime that somebody gets a degree or gets a certificate, have them recognized for accomplishing goals. You know, the fire department has, I don't know, 3 or 4 doctors, you know, and having them come up. But that just shows how our goals are being implemented in the city. So basically advertising, you know, just saying, hey, you know, marketing, just letting people know what's going on, and so how everything's relating back to these goals.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Branguis. Go ahead, sir. Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Under identify and implement infrastructure, I want to, if everybody would, add the senior center. I know we're working currently on the Northeast Center to renovate it for the senior center, but that's just kind of the same road that we're going down, and while we're still waiting on a law enforcement center in City Hall, we're just basically renovating an old building and putting somebody in it. I also think with that renovation, as we go through with the potential tax revenue that we're coming in, we may or may not have to do bonds on certain buildings. So what that would allow us to do, having the Northeast Center renovated like it's going to be for the senior center, is puts the senior center first, to where we can tear down certain buildings, use the Northeast Center as a temporary facility for a city hall, maybe do an agreement with North Richland Hills to help with the police department. I know certain things can't be housed in a non-secure facility, to where we can use that Northeast Center as a temporary office, if you will, as we're building the new buildings. But because we're putting the seniors there first, we're going to do the senior building first. I think we need, if we're going to look at new buildings for law enforcement city hall, we also need to look at finding a way to do a brand new building for our seniors as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wee, but any more questions from council? If you don't, staff make sure on the law enforcement center and the city hall will not be together. I always, as 32 years as law enforcement officer, I always oppose to build city hall together with the police station for the safety of the public. If you got some crazy dude coming here try to shoot the police, they don't see police, they walk on the elevator, they can shoot citizen. That happened in Dallas, and we don't want to take that chance. Make sure. And if anyone, because the last bond election, they turned down the police station together too. But if you walk down to the police station right now, you can smell the plumbing problem, the water leaking. That grocery store been there for a long, long time. And multiple time I went out there to assist the police department. You can see sometimes they had used a little cubicle for the officer to investigate the suspect. And one guy talking this building, this room, the next room can hear that. That's not safety at all. Plus our equipment like police vehicle are important, and they have a lot of computer, a lot of information there. We don't want together with City Hall. If they break in, we will have to track them down, make sure we got that piece of equipment back. So staff, make sure if you have the plan, if we do have a plan for the City Hall and the police station, make sure they are separate, not in the same building. And thank you, Mr. Wee. Pretty good idea too, but we have to look at see how our budget, because you know our city right now is just about wake up from long sleeping time, and we try to make money. And my main goal for the future is try to do the friendly business, welcome everyone here. You know, make sure customer service need to improve, because like planning and zoning are the play, collect the fee. Very important. That money can be more than a lot of different, you know, fee like ticket or something like that. But make sure employee welcome everyone there, smiling. They feel, because, you know, I were asking for permits before, and I got a lot of, you know, macho approaching me, say, you can't do that, you can't do that. Why couldn't? I would try my best to help you. What can I do for you, sir? Easy. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to learn other people's culture, international culture. You try to smile. May I help you? That's very important for our city. And thank you, Steph. Try harder. We will achieve our goal. Thank you. Any more questions from council? Ms. Wee, you want the question? You have one? No. Okay, if not this item number 8 ready for a motion. Ms. Wee, go ahead, sir.
For strategic goals, I make a motion that we approve with the addition of the senior center under the infrastructure replacement plan.
Thank you, Ms. Gui, second. Ms. Grohl, go ahead, Councilman.
That's for a second.
We got a second now, please just show your vote. We got 6-0 on item number 8. The item pass. Number 9. This item is ordinance number 0.2019.018.01. This item talking about board and commission, and initially I was the one create this ordinance. I asked to have term limit for the board members. The reason why, myself alone, I received this many applications they want to serve for our city. And during a campaign, a lot of voters say, I don't want the old good buddy system in Haltom City. I don't know what do they mean. That means somebody maybe served too long. Anybody served too long for Haltom City, we appreciate that. We will never try to kick you out, no way. You can be advisory board for that board because we need the new people coming here to make sure that they feel like Haltom City open for a new people, new idea come to the board. But before this item can be voted by council, I would like to ask this item table it for the future, because right now I already asked the staff to do with the IT, create a survey for the whole city, for the board member, for the chairman. We would like to hear from you, so you don't say, okay, Antron, come in here, try to turn everything upside down. I don't. I try to be fair. I try to give a new people an opportunity to work with us. We want the city hall here is a friendly place for everybody to attend. We don't want the people up close, the elect official or the staff at the, just like in my country, shaking and, oh no, I don't want to do anything that. I want everybody to feel free. Email us, email the staff if you have a problem. We have the best staff so far. For example, right now, if you walk in another city, big city, or other city you want to see city manager, can you see it? I bet you horror. But in here, if you call the city manager or ask the city manager will meet you, try to discuss, help you to solve the problem. That is the best, because I have been live several cities around here. Even I want to talk with director, it's hard. And director to me in the past was big shot, but not in Haltom City. Everybody friend, everybody in your level. If everybody mean to you, you can email me or you can email Mr. Land here. He take care of his staff, okay? So, at this time, I would like to ask council agree for me to table this one until unknown, time after the survey. What do you think? Everybody agree that? Okay, well, Ms. Watergrove, go ahead, sir.
Well, I was going to make a motion to have item number 9 tabled to a later date until the survey has been completed and
Thank you,
analysis been done.
Councilman Crowe and Weiss. Councilman Weiss.
Once you with that motion, I'll second it. I just want to know what the timeline is going to be on the survey. How long are we going to have that opened up?
Ms. Camacho.
I will confer with Paul Berwick, the IT director, and send you an email as soon as I know the time deadline.
Thank you. So we're going to have it open at one time and then say for a month, possibly?
Maybe two meetings. Yes.
Yeah, we'll see about what y'all would think would be a substantial time for it to be put on the website for a vote. If you want to really take your time with this or however you want to move.
Okay.
Mr. Olson, would you tell me, is that any limitation time frame for the item put on the
No,
future?
it's up to the council. The motion on the floor right now is to table it indefinitely. So after you get an indication how long the survey is going to take,
Okay.
you can put it back on the agenda at any time.
I'll second the table.
Okay, item number 9, already have second, and please register your vote. Item 9 is passed 6-0. And now, city staff, you have any thing to report?
No, sir.
No? Future agenda, council? I see none. And board commission community, resignation of board member or any commissioner? Anyone have one? Mr. Walter Grove? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to remove myself from the Parks Board and talk to Councilwoman Van Zant, and she would take over that spot and represent the council as liaison to the Parks Board.
Yes, at this time, Council Grove will get out the Park and Recreation and yield that position for Council Member Van Zandt. And if anyone have question or any objection, if not, go ahead, register your vote. This item, number 11, number 12, for reappoint the park liaison, or maybe the contact is over, and Mr. Van Zandt will be the liaison, council contact, right? For Park and Recreation. Thank you. Appreciate that, Ms. Rowe. I appreciate that. And any more registration now? None? And now the reappoint for board and commission and committee. Anyone have any appointment? Yes, we have Ms. Marianne Healy, Council.
Yes, for the third time, I would like to make sure that Nancy Watkins is added to the Animal Advisory Committee.
I thought that's already done deal.
Is it not?
It's not on this,
Okay.
on this page.
Are you talking about the page that we?
Page
Okay.
13,
All right.
agenda item number 13. 3 times I've tried to
Okay,
make sure her name was there.
I think what we have posted here, okay, I see what you mean. It's not
Right.
listed. Okay, you're right. I will
Thank you, ma'am.
immediately. Thank you.
And any more, Ms. Hillier? No? Council Thompson, go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I would like to appoint Ella Patterson to the Beautification Board.
Council, you have any question? If not, go ahead, share your vote. Okay, we got approval for Mr. Peterson for the board. Thank you. Any more? None. And now my turn. As you know, the Housing Authority, all the member appointed by me, the mayor. So at this moment, I will reappoint the Housing Authority chairman and the board members. The current member, Leticia Agula, and Skira Wilson, Sandra Tork, Mr. Don Lee Master, and Willis Nelson, and the chair, Housing Authority Director Claire Tinner. All the assignment reappointed by me for the Housing Authority Board. Please register your vote, please. All the board have been approved, and thank you. Now I have the fire service. I reappoint current member Warren Davenport, and Park and Recreation current member Harold Fowler. Please, Council, if you haven't had any question, go ahead, register your vote. Ms. Thompson? Yeah. Well, both Mr. Warren Davenport and Fowler is reappointed. Now, we go back to, any more reappointment? No. Okay, now we have one of the accused absent of council member. Would anyone to make a motion? Mr. Brandwish, go ahead.
Make a motion that we excuse the absence of Susan Soul.
Okay, please register your vote. We already approved for the absence of council member Susan Saul. Any more? We don't have any more absent. And executive session, we don't have any more, right, sir? No. And at this time, staff, you have anything? Council, you don't have any more? At this time, 8:33, the council adjourned. Thank you. See you next time.